What's up, guys? Welcome to Faith Family Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Dominique, but you can call me Dom. We are outside. I have about 7 new garden beds. It's these beds right here that I need to start filling, and I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be filling them using stuff I already have, hopefully not having to bring in any extra soil. So this bed is a little different. So we have, you can see this is, we butchered chickens, so we have chicken feathers on top. We have a bag, I had a bag of topsoil. We have leaves in here. I also put down my, I'm gonna spread this out, but I also put down worms in here. Underneath my rabbits, we have red wigglers, and I collect all of the rabbit manure, and so we just dumped all of the rabbit manure into this bed, and we added the rabbit manure, the red wigglers, any of like debris where we swept this whole area right here, and there was lots of leaves and lots of like soil that fell out of the beds, and we dumped it all inside here. Then we topped it with leaves all the way to the top, and then I had one bag of topsoil that I just had laying around that had got rained on and stuff. It wasn't really any good. Put that on top. It compacted all of the leaves, and then we butchered chicken, so I added the feathers on top. Feathers actually is really high in nitrogen. You could get feather meal, and it would be a high nitrogen source. This bed is also a little different because I ended up having a big log that I put at the bottom, and I also had it at the bottom of the other beds that were here, and it's a hardwood log, and so it really didn't decompose that much at all. So I just transferred it to this bed. After we finished filling this bed does come with a cover, and I'm really happy about it. And this is going to be the new home of my zucchinis / squashes. I live in coastal South Carolina, zone 8B, and over the last 3 years that I've been gardening, I've always struggled with the vine borers eating my squashes. And so I do get squashes early on, but then after a while, my pumpkins, my winter squashes, zucchinis, all of that always get infected with vine borers. And I've tried last year where you inject the vines with BT, so that way when the vine borer gets in there, it eats the BT and then it dies. But I guess I wasn't fast enough, so my squashes and pumpkins just died. Pumpkins, squashes, zucchinis, and like my winter squashes all died from the vine borer. So my plan is this season is to plant all of my zucchini / squashes here, not my winter squashes because they vine and it won't fit in here, but I can fit 1 per square foot. I'm gonna have it covered, and I'm hoping that would really be able to combat the vine borer this coming spring / summer. I have really high hopes for this bed with the cover to be able to manage the vine borers for my zucchini and squashes this coming summer. So if you are in a zone that struggles with vine borers and are interested in this bed, I'm going to have a link in the description box, as well as a discount code where you can get 5% off of the bed with the cover, and you guys can watch along and we can grow together and see how it works for our winter and summer squash problem. I also filled this bed with I just dumped out my whole compost tumbler, and it really worked and had all of it turned to compost, which was really great. And I was able to top dress that, as well as I had just had some extra compost laying around, and so I added that I got in bulk. Is the black stuff. There are red wigglers in here because in my composter, my tumbler, I put red wigglers in there. Right now the girls are filling it back up with leaves since it's empty. It worked really good at breaking down. There were like sweet potato leaves in there and vines, and then there was like pine straw and pine mulch. And so this bed has lots of red wigglers in here, has lots of stuff for them to keep eating and multiplying. For the most part, the red wiggler should be safe and sound in here. I do have more red wigglers underneath my rabbit coop that just keep multiplying, and so right now this has worm castings in it as well. So I'll show you on this side. These beds were 3 by 6, but when I made these beds longer, it made this pathway so much shorter. You can see right here, it's only about a little over a foot of pathway. And I wanted more space over here to be able to get a wheelbarrow through. And so I decided to go with these beds. They're only 2 feet instead of 3 feet. So I'm gaining a foot of walking space back. We're going to be working on this bed, but I'll show you down here, and we'll be working on this bed. This is the area right here that we already dug up. But I'll show you what we're doing and what we've already done yesterday. So like I said, I wanted this pathway to be wider, and so you can kind of see this is where the beds went out to. And so we dug up the dirt. I'll show you underneath. We lifted all the dirt, made it flat with the pathway, and then we put down a new piece of landscape fabric. In this bed, I did it backwards. All of the soil that we dug up from on that bed in the pathways is down, all the way down at the bottom, and then I filled the top with leaves. The same thing in this bed, which this one's a little easier to see because we didn't finish filling it, but the soil went up, I want to say about a third of the bed, and then we're filling the top with like leaves and sticks and twigs and stuff like that. So that way I don't have to wait for the soil health or anything like that. I don't want to bury all of my hard work into the ground. And even though these beds are 17 inches and my previous beds were only like 4 inches high, with me gaining a foot of space, I was able to take up that foot of soil, add it into this bed, and then once I add in all of the things, I do have my composter that has stuff. I can use straw from my chickens. I'm just going to be finding anything that I can, as filler, that I can put at the bottom of this bed so that I can make the top, so that I could get as close to the top as possible, and then add the soil on top. 2 beds that I'm going to be showing you, we're going to do it opposite. I'm going to get the wheelbarrow and I'm going to take out all of the soil that's inside of that bed, make it nice and flat, and then I'm going to put the bed back on top, fill the bottom half with leaves and twigs like that, and then the soil that's I'm using, I'm going to put that on top. Because this soil has been here for 3 years, you can look at it. It looks really, really good. This is a mixture of topsoil, compost. When I first put it in here, I had worm castings, I had peat moss, and so it's a really good mixture. I hate to have this at the bottom of the bed, and so since I have this bed to do, I still have that one to dig up, and then the third one right here. I'm going to leave those 2 since I already put the soil at the bottom and then have my girls put leaves at the top. But for the other 3 beds, I'm going to take all of this soil out, put it in a wheelbarrow, put the leaves and twigs and stuff like that at the bottom, and then put the soil at the top. So already we're about a third up the bed. And I'll just have the girls fill it up with stuff all the way up to the top. And then we'll use the soil that we scraped out of the bottom to smush it down. Looking inside the soil, I found earthworms in here, so that's a really good sign. One of my concerns with doing it this way will definitely be the weeds, because these beds were really, really weedy, and so this past summer I did not plant in them. I had 2 beds covered with landscape fabric, and then this is where I have my grapevines are at, so planted. This is where I had my grapevines planted as well. And so really the only thing that grew over here this past summer was grapevines, because I struggled with weeds so bad over here. I just basically kept them covered the whole time. And so that would be my only concern with putting the soil at top, is struggling with weeds. But we'll see with these 3 beds compared to the 2 beds where I put the soil, the weedy soil at the bottom, and then I'm going to top put new soil at the top of those beds, which beds struggle with weeds this coming spring and summer. Definitely stick around to for the results of that. But the plus side for this, and for you if you were looking into filling beds that were higher than your previous beds, would obviously be over time the leaves are going to break down, and so you'll have that leaf mold, you'll have the organic bacteria growing in there, you're going to have earthworms, like I have in my bed. I have red wrigglers in there and the rabbit manure, and so they'll have plenty of food to continue eating and hopefully growing new earthworms or red wigglers inside that bed. And so I definitely think if you're on a budget and you don't have money to bring in new soil, just trying to fill with, you can either use cardboard at the bottom, you can use shredded paper, you can use twigs, sticks. I have in some of the beds I put in, this is my grapevine that I need to prune, and I was pruning some of it yesterday and putting some of the grapevine inside of the bottom of the beds. So just use whatever you have available. I was even using old wood pieces that I had just laying around, and so anything that you have laying around. I have straw in the chicken run area that I want to try and put at the bottom of this as well. The next layer that we have is what my girls just brought over from where our chickens were. They had straw down as their bedding, and so this is chicken manure slash straw that's already, you can see, starting to break down, and we're gonna get a couple more loads of this inside here. If you do not have chickens, obviously that's not something that is sustainable for you to get, but fall is still the perfect time to start rethinking spring and summer gardening and buying those new beds and filling those new beds, because it is fall time, so that means lots and lots of leaves. I don't know where you're at, but it's still pretty fallish. It's not really winter weather yet, but people have leaves sitting at the side of their houses, driveways. When I used to live in a neighborhood, I would go through the neighborhood and get bags of leaves to cover and use as a mulch, and so you can definitely use it as a filler inside the bed. The only thing is that you want to make sure that you are smashing down the leaves as you're putting them in there, maybe even wetting them down. It rained and so our leaves are pretty wet because they are going to shrink over time, but smushing them down to begin with, or even trying to chopping them up and wetting them, will help them decompose and shrink down less than if you just had like a bunch of fluffy leaves that were dry and crispy and fluffy. Then it would decompose faster and you would lose more soil that way. That is probably about 4 inches from the top, more along that spaces where it's a little deeper. I tried to make it as smooth as possible. What I'm going to do now is smush it down, have Niall step in it, and then top the rest with the soil that we dug out from the bottom, and this bed will be good to go, and I'll show you guys the end result. This turned out to be the perfect day to get something like this done, because even though it's going into winter and it's December and we've had some cold weather, this day wasn't particularly cold, and it was really, really nice to get this done in cool weather. We did it, guys. The bed is topped off with the soil that was at the bottom. We're still probably about 2 inches, I want to say, going all the way around from reaching the top, which is completely fine. It's supposed to rain the next 2 days, and so I am going to water this in, let the rain water this in, and then we'll really get to see how low this is going to drop. But for the most part, it did what I needed it to do, which was to have a thick layer of soil on top, and then we had that the chicken straw slash the chicken manure straw that we also put in here, and that was also composted down, or still breaking down. This bed is going to sit over the winter and into the spring, and I won't be planting in here until probably late spring, so it's still going to have plenty of time to break down and build that like really good soil microbiome. But this is basically what I'm going to do for the rest of the beds. This is only one bed. We still have 2 more beds that are the 2x6. But I hope this video was helpful for you guys in showing you how you can use stuff that you have to fill a bed, and hopefully If you already had established beds, you might not have to buy any soil, but if you're looking to have brand new beds, just picking up the least amount of soil as possible, because when I was calculating how much it was going to fill these beds, it was coming out to, granted, it was going to come out to more than $900 with buying bulk compost and topsoil mixture. So I'm just saving myself lots of money, and I hope you guys can save yourself lots of money as well. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Again, I'll have a link in the description box where I have these beds, where I got these beds from, as well as the bed with the hoop cover, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.